setting a boundary when it comes to certain things and is it's important in life. But a lot of us don't understand its importance when it comes to relationships and well, even outside of relationships, it's important, I guess. But we don't consider that we need more than just physical boundaries, but also boundaries in social media, spending time together, at work, or just trying to enjoy some alone time. So we'll get into that and more on this edition of the Talk to Q radio show. No experts, just opinions. Buckle up.
T2Q Radio.
Hey, what up, Q? What up, Radio World?
What's going on, people? I want to welcome all of you to another episode of the Talk to Q radio show. My name is Quincy, and this is my show. And I'm broadcasting from the south side of the T2Q Man Cave. This show is being shown. This show is being shown on Tuesday, October 19th, 2021, episode number 964. People should always know where they stand with you on things. They should know where the line is drawn in the sand so not to cross it. But if you don't tell them, then how can you expect them to stay on the other side of that line? And if they do cross it, what should you do about it? That's what we'll discuss on this episode of T2Q. So let me go to the T2Q virtual phone lines to see who will be joining me today. And I will start here and go to the 601 area code in Mississippi and welcome on Ashley, the sensible sister. How's it going?
What's up? Everything's good. It's good to be on a podcast setting. I haven't been on one in such a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but I'm glad to have you on.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you again for inviting me.
I like the little Liberace piano in the background.
I'll get on there and play some tunes in a little bit.
Okay, yeah, you do that. We'll turn this into Showtime at the Apollo. All right, back to the phone line, staying in the same state. Let me welcome on Kaylee the Boss. What's going on?
Oh, nothing. Just chilling this morning. How are you?
I am outstanding. If I were any better, there would be two of me, and I don't think the world is ready for that.
I'm ready to give some vocals to this Apollo show. I'm ready to give some vocals. Go ahead and hit them, please.
Well, we got all the talent here.
Me.
Okay. So we'll have Ashley playing the music. You'll sing, and we'll let this young lady who's coming up do the dancing. From the 985 area code in the Pelican state of Louisiana, please welcome on show legend Erica Warren to the Talk to Q radio show. Erica, what's going on?
Hey, I'm gonna take it all the way back.
There we go. So you got the whole ensemble. We good to go. I'll be the host. I'll be like Steve Harvey.
Hype man.
All right. Well, look, it's so glad to have all of you joining me. And let's start with some of the obvious things, and then we'll get into some of the things that maybe people don't talk about. And being approached in public. When you're out, people will approach you for whatever reason, to make small talk, or maybe they're trying to holler or whatever. But two things strangers can do a lot is like violate personal space. That's one thing a lot of people can do. And they also can, I guess, violate your expectations of your respect level by how they talk to you. So, Erica, I'll start with you first because you have been titled the Boundary Queen. How do you establish boundaries with someone you just met?
I think body language, facial expressions, and if that don't work, verbalization. Back up, bruh. You're a little too close. But a lot of times you don't get really a chance to establish boundaries with people who are approaching you out in the street, or as a lot of women are familiar with, men who are catcalling and saying different things, disrespectful things. Most of the time, the best thing to do is just remove yourself from the situation. Usually, just walk off. Look the other way. Don't give eye contact until we get where we can be safe and away from the situation. But most of the times, I saw a video a couple of weeks ago where this woman was at McDonald's, I think, and another woman came up behind her and just started playing in her hair. Now,
What?
this was a black woman, and a white woman walked up to her and just started pulling her hair and rubbing on it and doing all of this, and was like, in that situation, the way she handled it, I wouldn't have handled it that well, because I would have cussed her out and I would have slapped her hand off of me. So, that in those situations, when people put you in a situation where you have to think quick on your feet, or you don't know how you're going to react. I mean, boundaries go out the window. Then it's like, you already over here in this space, so now I got to cut you.
Ashley, what about you? How do you handle when strangers violate your personal space or maybe don't show you the respect that you reserve? Like a problem that I have, it never fails. Someone's going to talk to me in line at a grocery store. I don't know if it's because I make eye contact or if I just have that face that says talk to me. But and then
Talking
you have some people, especially I know, right? And you have some people now, especially during the pandemic, they want to get all up in your area and stuff. I mean, how do you handle strangers?
Well, I'm not gonna say I've had that many encounters. Of course, I've had not women, sometimes men catcalling
Hey.
and stuff. I'll just keep walking, and if they just get into my space, I'll be like, no, back up, please, leave me alone, and then I'll keep walking. Like if you follow me after that, whatever comes next, you ask for it. But as far as just someone just walking up to me, touching me, and doing all of that stuff, I've never experienced that, because a lot of people also tell me I have this look on my face like, don't come over here and mess with me, which I don't mean to have that look. That's just my resting bitch face. I'm resting. Like, just let me be. If I'm grocery shopping, I'm probably walking 40 miles an hour because I'm trying to get in and get out, because I hate Walmart anyway. And Kroger's
Yeah.
always packed, so I'm always trying to get in, get out. I never really experienced that. Like, I've experienced other things with setting boundaries, but as far as someone walking up to me, touching me, invading my space, not too much of that.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, Kaylee, I mean, what about confrontation? Because no one wants to bring on a confrontation by, you tell people, hey, you're violating a personal space, or you can't speak to me that way, and then you got to worry about them snapping, so to speak. So, isn't that a concern that should be something one considers before communicating where boundaries are crossed? You got to worry about confrontation.
Of course. I used to be the type where I don't like confrontation. I really don't. So I will hold it in and, just let whatever plays out. But the person that I am now, if you don't say anything, people are going to continue to do it. So there's a correct way to approach it and say, hey, this may be offensive. Could you please not? But if you escalate and take it there, best believe Kaylee gonna take it there too.
Mm-mm. I feel you, and I'm going back to what Erica said about the woman just reaching up in somebody's head. I
Now
mean,
that has happened to me. And I was a freshman in a freshman in college, and I sat at the front of the class, and it wasn't a white girl, it was a black girl. She would kick the back of the chair, and I thought maybe she had a nervous tick or something. Then one day she just started rubbing the back of my hair, and I'm like, this is uncomfortable. And like I said, the person that I was then, I didn't really say anything. So the next day I just moved over a seat.
mhm.
So now that happens. Now you touch this crown, it's going down.
Yeah, I can't imagine someone being in that position. That's just ridiculous. And essentially, it's assault because they're touching you and you don't want to be touched. So you got a right to hit them. But I don't know. But Erica, let me go back to you because let's talk about nicknames. I know that you say you despise pet names and nicknames. Why do you have a problem with being called baby or honey or sweetie, things of that nature?
It just depends on the context and depends on who it's coming from and how they're using it. Um, Everything has a place and a time, and it just depends on your individual relationship with whoever is calling you that name. If it's a girlfriend of mine and we cool like that, I don't mind her calling me baby or whatever. But a man that I'm dating, that I'm just getting to know, and we haven't even established that type of relationship, and he's calling me babe and baby,
Hmm.
that's a no-go, because that's something that's reserved for somebody who you have a familiar relationship with, intimate relationship with. And that's part of what these guys do, love bombing, to kind of get you to let down your guards and feel familiar with them. And then all of a sudden y'all in a whole relationship and you didn't know how that happened. So it's just about establishing boundaries with different people. Different people in your life, you're going to have different boundaries depending on who it is, the sex of the person, how long you've known them, your relationship to them. So it just depends. I don't have a problem with nicknames because people call me E Money, E Class, you know, whatever. I have a lot of different nicknames, but those are not like intimate nicknames. But if you calling me baby, you best be my man or my husband.
Facts. And to piggyback off of that just happened to me. Somebody added me as a friend, and as soon as I clicked the accept button, hey baby, and I'm like, please don't, please don't. And then the unsolicited pictures come, and
Uh-oh.
you got blocked. You
Mm.
basically got blocked. So
He
yeah,
ruined it from the jump.
yeah.
Setting you up for the okie doke.
Can't do it. I always say that if they start out with the hey babies and booze and all of that, something crazy is about to come around the corner.
Hey,
Somebody,
sexy.
yeah, you about to get crazy with me, and I don't like that. You don't want to see the
Right.
crazy in me.
Mm-mm. All right. So I know it. Some people don't like it at all, regardless of the context. And I have a former coworker of mine named Jillian, who's from Connecticut, and they didn't do that in Connecticut. But when she came down here and went to Chick-fil-A for the first time, she got called all kinds of babies and honeys by, and sweeties by about, older women, and she didn't like it. She didn't
Oh,
like it at all. So, I mean, sometimes I think it depends on where you're from and things of that nature. But when it comes to the context of someone who's trying to holler, like Erica said, it can be off-putting for some people because you're trying to make like you're more comfortable than what you are with that person.
Right.
But let's talk about the workplace. There are a select few of coworkers who can actually become lifelong friends, but 99% of your coworkers are just that, coworkers. But you have some who will try to act like your friend, or they want to act like they want to be your friend just to get in your business. So, Ashley, how do you set boundaries on the job that you're there to work and not make friends when it comes to people who may not be genuine?
Look, we just talked about this last night at work. I always tell people, like, when I'm at work, I'm here to work. I don't mean any harm, but don't come and ask me anything about my personal business. If I don't want to tell you, I'm not going to tell you. You can come tell me all yours if you want to, but don't expect it, in return, because 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to tell you. And me and my partner, we work together. We're in the same department on different sides, but it's like, I know what y'all are fishing for, because everybody's like, how long y'all been together? Y'all like working together? And then, not to mention, my child's dad, Lauren's dad, he works there too. So it's a bunch of questions like that. And I'm like, I'm not going to answer that. Like, we're all cool. Everybody gets along. That's all y'all need to know, because there's no need to bounce around and tell each other's business. Like, I'm not here for all that. And I hate drama. Just don't bring it over here. And I'm going to stay in my bubble and I'm going to let you stay in yours. But yeah, I had to tell people, look, that's the father of my child. This is my man. They're two separate people. We all cool. We all get along. If I speak, don't take it out of anything else. Don't take it out of context. There's nothing going on between me and this other man here. We just have a child together.
Okay.
Right. We've been there 2 years and the stuff still happens and it's crazy.
I mean, I have to admit that's a pretty interesting scenario right there. So you might want to contact a producer about a reality show, potentially.
They won't
And
get on it.
Erica, what about you? How do you handle the people who want to be your friend at work, want to ask all kinds of questions and get to know you and things of that nature? How do you tell if they're genuine or not?
Me no speak no English. If I ain't cool with you like that, I'm not talking about none of my personal business. I was on this job years ago, and I've always been like this. I think I was in my early 20s, and I was on this job, and my godmother had already told me before I got there, it's a messy place to work. The women are always in some mess. So when you go your butt up in there, do your job and keep your mouth closed. But she didn't really have to tell me that because I was quiet anyway. And so it was a very messy place. The women were always into some kind of mess in each other's business. And they would always tell me their business, but I would never tell them anything about me. And they would be like, "Ooh, Erica's so quiet. Why you don't never talk?" I talk, I just don't talk to y'all because I know what's going on up in here. They didn't know any of my business. Something, and it's crazy, something really happened at the job, personal, that everybody could have found out, but because it happened in the front office and then it finished offside of the job. When I got back to the job, nobody knew about it but me and my manager. They never found out about it. I never told them.
Thankfully.
Right, because it would have been all over, and I would have been getting all kinds of questions. But on jobs, I think you should keep your work life work and your personal personal. I have made friends on certain jobs, and it was just between me and that person. We had a personal relationship, and whenever we would see each other off the job, we had our relationship outside of the job. But a lot of times, I would go around and I would find all of my coworkers on Facebook and block them. Cause when I want to call in work today, I don't need y'all looking at my Facebook page and finding out I'm really not sick.
Mm-mm. Wow, that's
So
something else. So let me ask you this, Erica. I mean, because no one watches this show, okay? Uh, do you want to tell us what happened that only you and your manager know about? I mean, you want
oh
to share? Since
yeah,
no one watches,
Little tea.
yeah, I don't care. I told the story before. I got arrested. I got arrested for fighting. Well, the fight happened like a week prior, but the girl didn't know where I worked. So when she found out where I worked, she sent the police to my job and they arrested me on my job. My manager knew all about it and everything, and I thought I was going to get fired. And so when she called me to come back to work, she was like, "If you don't tell nobody, I won't tell nobody." And I kept my job.
that's what's up. That's what's
And
up.
she knew I wasn't that type of person, so she knew it had to
Yeah,
be something.
but I know you were thinking to yourself, you were about to lose your
And
job.
then it was crazy because after I got out of jail that same day, the girl who called the police and got me locked up, I passed by her house and she was standing outside, and I gave her the finger. I said, "I'm out."
Girl, I probably would have had to hop
Mm-mm.
out on her again just because.
Right, right. Oh Lord.
And I'm assuming since she called the police, she got beat up, so she wanted it again.
Right.
Yeah,
Obviously.
yeah.
Well, thank God for deliverance.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so let's talk about what about just general respect within the workplace. Now, Kaylee, some bosses feel like they can talk to you any kind of way,
Oh,
and you got some people who may report to you who may get out of pocket too. So, I mean, how do you set boundaries with those people?
did you get the tea on my last job or something?
Uh
Because because my manager, she was disrespectful. We had an older employee, and she would go in, and the lady was like, "You're not gonna talk to me any type of way." So that she had that thing. It was like, I'm the head. Everybody bowed to me. So she definitely talked to everybody like they were children. Um, I worked in a small rural post office, only person in there, and she would come and inspect. And one day she just started. She was like, don't do that. You acting like my daughter, but baby, I am not your daughter.
Mm.
I am a grown woman.
Mm-mm.
Let's be clear. So you have to be firm and let them know that you won't back down, but be respectful at the same time. It's a way to do it, but sometimes they do take you there.
That's true. And why would they come at you sideways and you're Kaylee, you're literally the boss?
The boss, I
I
don't know.
I
And
don't get that.
like you, at this point you need me. Like I was pulling double because so many people were quitting because of her attitude, and I'm doing my job, their job, obviously your job, because when she would take over my office, she would never know how to do anything.
Mm,
So you need me.
yeah, that's a shame. But all right, so let's transition to social media. Now, it's something we've had to figure out on the go over the past 15 to 20 years because it's still fairly new to us. A lot of us still don't understand the amount of power social media has when it comes to ruining a person. Some people will post your business on Facebook, or maybe they'll tag you in a picture that's not flattering. Um, on IG, they may reveal your location that you wanted to keep private. People who know you well and respect you probably won't do these things. But let's be honest, what 90% of our social media friends, we probably don't know us that well anyway. So let me go back to you, Ashley, and ask you this. How do you establish what you will or will not tolerate on a medium that is still fairly new to society? I mean, how can people know your social media boundaries?
Well, I'm not afraid to vocalize them neither. So it's a lot of things that I have like whenever I go out with my cousins or something, like if you're gonna post it and you're gonna tag me in it, I have it, especially on Facebook, to where it has to be accepted by me first. If I don't accept it, it doesn't get shown on my timeline. People might see it on their timeline, but my name will not be tagged to it and it will not be on my timeline. And then a lot of times, if I'm just out and I don't want anybody to know, people love Snapchat because I do it sometimes. If I'm going to do it, I'm probably just going to have myself in it unless you really want to be in there. Like, I think I went out Thursday and I was like, like, not because I'm not supposed to be there. I just don't want to be on camera right now. Like, I took off to handle business, but now I have a little leisure time. Let me just enjoy it without, you know, like, don't do it.
Yeah.
And she didn't post it. Like, she just deleted it. Like, it's, I feel like if I just tell people what I'm willing to tolerate during that moment, they will respect it. And if not, hey, I know how to get up and leave, or I know how to remove you from my presence, either way.
Yeah.
And I did have an incident the other day where I have a friend, there's some things going on with her, and like this girl that doesn't like her sent me a friend request. And me, I was already having a bad day. So I already knew who the girl was. I said, are you looking to buy a candle or wax melt or something? Because, there's no need for you to send me a friend request. My page is public. So if you would like to purchase something, do that. If not, I'm going to delete this. And if you send it again, you will be blocked.
Mm.
Nothing was said, so I just left it alone.
Okay. 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 Well, I don't know, like, a lot of this is new because, like I said, social media hasn't been around. When you think about it, it's just one generation really that's kind of just getting to social media. And I've been in a situation where I remember I was out with some coworkers and someone wanted to take a picture. And the lady that was sitting beside me said, well, wait, let's get these drinks out the way. Because they were like beer bottles and things like that on the table. She didn't want it to show in the picture. And I never thought about it, And so, I mean, Erica, a lot of things are kind of new and we're kind of learning on the fly. So, yeah, someone may tag you when you don't want to be tagged, but it's up to you to kind of approach them and let them know, hey, going forward, don't do that, right?
Exactly. You always have to, if you have relationships with people who you have mutual respect with, then they will respect your boundaries and they won't make a big deal out of it because it really shouldn't be a big deal. If you want to be in the photo, then you can be in it. But if you say you don't want to be in it, then why would anybody get pissed off or mad at you for that? Um, but social media is full of people crossing boundaries on a daily basis. People who don't even know you cross your boundaries. And I think social media has just gotten into people's minds where they think that the people on their timeline or the people on their friend list owe them something. And that's where you have to set boundaries with people, people who come on your post and comment negative things or want to combat you and debate you about something that you posted. Okay, go on your page and do that.
I
And
said what
if
I
I
said.
right, if I don't want it on my page and if I delete your comment and then you come back and say, well, why you deleted my comment? Because this page say Erica Warren
Right.
and it can have on here what I want to have on here. So people have to really establish their boundaries in that way. And then other things when you see something on your on your timeline you don't agree with, delete, block, and then have a good day. You do not have to go on somebody else's page and tell them why they wrong or why they should believe and say what you think they should say or they should take this down. Establish those boundaries and then make people respect them. If they don't, just remove them.
Hmm.
So that's my thing about social media and boundaries is that you're always going to run into people who are going to try to cross them and they will cross them, but you can put them back over that line real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
That's
and
true.
to piggyback off of that, I had this situation exactly last year because is domestic violence awareness as well. So I was into doing like some graphic, like the makeup, the special effects. I was doing pranks and stuff, and but I also did a awareness post on the check in check out page for domestic violence. So I made like a bruised lip or something like that and put one of the facts up. So it was specifically for that page. So I'm learning now if I don't want a specific thing shared, make it private so it doesn't show the share button at the bottom. Well, somebody, one of my DJs on my list decided to take that picture of the busted lip and put it up on his story, followed by a throat goat post
Mm.
for a party. So I didn't know it happened. So one of my friends inboxed me like, why is your mouth on the story? So I'm like, what are you talking about? So I go and there it is with the throat goat song and everything. So I'm like, yo, could you please take it down? That was not the intention. If you saw the quote for domestic violence, that's what it was for. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna take it down. 2 hours passed by, still up. I'm like, yo, I asked you nicely, could you take it down? And he's like, well, what's the big deal? It's only going to be up there for about 22 more hours. So we went back and forth like maybe 3 or 4 times, and after that he got deleted because it stayed
Wow.
up. Yeah,
Wow. And
Yeah.
so you were representing Throat Goat.
I guess so.
See that's one I did not think of when people steal your image
Images.
and then
Hmm.
put their own caption on it, and now
Yes.
you're a part of something that you
Yeah.
didn't have no business being a part of.
Yeah.
Right,
Now
and
you
even
represent it.
it was this portion of my face, but like I said, my friends know what I look like, and then I had sent them the post so they knew where it came from.
Right.
Wow.
Wow. That's uncalled for. You
You
can
should have
Google it.
reported him.
Right.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
If you got my image and you putting something on there that I didn't have authorized, I'm reporting that post.
I think I did. That little blue app didn't help a bit.
Mm-mm. Oh boy. So that's definitely stepping across the line right there.
Mhm.
That's a severe violation. But all right. So lastly, we'll talk about relationships. Let's start with physical boundaries because physical boundaries are very important at the beginning of a relationship. As generations pass, I think there's more of a microwave aspect to getting to the physical. Some people skip straight to sex without really building a foundation first. There are a lot of people who are having sex right now don't even know if they're really officially in a relationship or not. But for those who want to take a more traditional approach to a relationship, how do you establish boundaries on what's okay and what's not when it comes to physical contact during the dating process? As you start to go out on date one, date two, date three, how do you kind of set the standard, so to speak, as women for guys to know something's off limits? And this is for whoever wants to respond.
Well,
I
I
think
guess. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think everything should be led off with a conversation. Too often we just make assumptions, or we have this romanticized idea in our head about how relationships are supposed to be because we've seen it on a movie and we've seen it on TV, and it's just supposed to flow naturally, and just all of a sudden, and oops, here we are, without having any kind of conversations. I mean, a man who respects you and respects your body and your boundaries, he's probably going to ask you before he touches you in any kind of sexual way. Is it okay if I touch you here? Is it okay if I put my arm around your waist? And that's respectful and that's attractive. But just having those conversations can squash a whole bunch of misunderstanding, a whole bunch of assumptions, and then people getting mad and breaking up when they could have just had the conversation from the beginning. So I just say conversation will kill it all.
Let me ask this right quick because I'm just thinking back over my life. I don't recall as an adult necessarily just asking a woman if I can put my arm around her or something like that. I try to read body language.
Mhm.
But if a guy misreads your body language, then how do you respond to that? I mean, because some people snap, some people may not say anything, they just may shy away. I mean, what do you think is the best way to handle that? And I'll ask you, Ashley, then I'll go to Kaylee.
Mm, I would probably say, well, I have looked at someone like, look, I'm not comfortable with this,
And then boot to the throat.
Not yet.
Okay.
But I will let them,
I'm
I
getting
will
ahead
let
of
them
myself.
know. I'm not comfortable with it. But if they ask me why, I'll try to explain why. And then if they don't understand it, then that's when the boot goes to the throat.
Kaylee, what about you? What do you think is the best way to handle a guy who may misread a situation? I mean, he may be genuine in his intent and not trying to be overly aggressive, but it just happens to
It
catch you at
happens,
bad.
right?
Yeah.
Um, I I try to keep in mind that everybody is not like me. They may not be receptive to body language and just reading the room correctly. So I'm learning to use my voice a little bit more. So I think it's okay to actually have the conversations of is this okay, what's appropriate and what's not. I actually been having conversations with different people now, speaking about it up front before you even get in a situation to even make it uncomfortable. um like I said, some people may not vocalize it, so you have to make that nudge. You have to be able to be okay with initiating the conversation. I had a guy who told me that he didn't like anybody touching like his beard, or how you're playing and you do like little play slaps, just
Hmm.
walking by playing. He didn't like it, so I had to take that into account because I do that. And it's kind of hard to sometimes break those things that you normally do, but you have to do it if you respect that person.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
That's cool. I get that. I don't have a problem with anyone playing with my beard as long as they can afford my rates. So
Well, what if they just got finished eating barbecue?
nah,
Oh.
nah. I can't have a sticky beard.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I
So
think, I mean, if a man just reaches around you and you don't feel comfortable, I think just moving his hand back, just gently moving his hand back, and
hmm
then if you feel the energy shift and he's kind of acting, different or standoffish, and then that's where the conversation is, are you okay? Did that bother you that I moved your hand back? Because you didn't ask me if it would bother me if you put it there.
Right.
So
hmm
What we mad for?
Yeah, I definitely think guys need to pay attention to body language. If you're not going to ask, then you have to make sure you have a heightened sense of awareness as far as how she's responding. If you lean in for a kiss and she's doing,
Oh, that's major body language.
yeah,
Clear.
then
That's a
it's like
clear
catch
fact.
on, bro. And something's wrong, and it may not just be your breath. Maybe she don't like you. So you really have to, guys really have to pay attention. But a lot conversations up front definitely help, where you can kind of establish what type of person that she may be, and you can kind of go from there. But yeah, there's some situations where you may come out better asking in 2021, because if not,
Right.
then you'll be
Especially in
in a
the talking
situation.
stage. Especially in
Yeah,
the talking stage, when you're not really, especially now, especially in the pandemic, you're trying to get to know a person. I like throwing scenarios at you, so that gives me a better sense of how to respond to you when we do finally meet up.
yeah,
And a lot of times people would get into the vibe of the moment of, laughing and talking and having conversation is feeling good. And then before you know it, they got their arms around your waist, so they kissing you on your neck. And then you tense up and you're like, oh, wait, he was feeling it a little bit more than I was in that moment. So
mhm,
now how do I pull it back? And that's where it gets uncomfortable. So sometimes, just knowing up front, she won't trip if I touch her right there because we'd already talked about that.
yeah. And I think the scenario portion that Kaylee mentioned is very important too, because I mean, shows like this one, as far as giving people scenarios, you can have that discussion. There have been, just like with my fiance, that we've had conversations based on a YouTube video we may come across, or a meme. So we get to learn each other by our response to, well, how would you respond to this? And so there's
Right.
so many examples out here that people can use in order to get to know other people and what they may do and how they may react in certain situations. And then sometimes you just have to open your mouth and ask. I mean,
Right.
there's that.
Mhm.
But
That's
once
something
you get
to
past
tell
all
them.
of that, and you're in an exclusive relationship with someone, how do you manage alone time? I mean, I guess, should you set boundaries to establish me time so that a person isn't all up under you? And Erica, I go back to you. How do you handle that?
Um, I think knowing that person and, really putting in time to get to know their personality and being open and honest about what your needs are individually and inside of a relationship will cut out a whole lot of confusion, because I'm the type of person where I like socializing, but then I need my me time, my alone time to recharge and center my thoughts. And if you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't understand that about you, they might get offended when you want to be off to yourself and they want to spend time with you in that moment. So yeah, having those conversations up front and establishing those boundaries for both ways, because a relationship will last a lot longer and be more healthier when you already know what's expected of each other. And when that boundary is crossed, then you have a conversation about it to get it back into balance so it doesn't get out of line. Because a lot of times people cross our boundaries, but they don't even know what they are. And we're secretly resentful of them. And then they notice how we're acting different, but they don't even know why we acting different because we haven't talked about it.
Yeah, yeah,
We automatically assume sometimes we're in a relationship with somebody for a certain amount of time. They shouldn't already know this about me. They've been around me all this time and they still don't know what I like or what I don't like. That's assumptions. You haven't told them that. So you can't be mad.
that's true. That's true. And one thing I will say, I'm not trying to generalize women, but some of you all want men to read your minds, and we suck at it.
Yeah.
Use your words.
Y'all better
We,
put me
And
That's
Kaylee,
yeah.
how is alone time important for you in a relationship, Kaylee? Because to me, I feel like every person should have his or her own life, so that someone's just not always up under you. Because you got some folks who they don't want you to be happy unless you're with them. which that's a separate
Correct.
problem within itself.
Yeah. Yeah, alone time is definitely important. I like to knowing the journey that I've been on and giving so much into a relationship. I said that next time it happens, we're definitely going to be independent, so you don't depend so much on that person for, your happiness and all of that. So alone time is definitely important because you may have separate things that you want to take care of. I'm a Cancer, so sometimes I need my space. I kind of go back into my shell and I just need to, just woosah with me. So yeah, it's important, and the person should be able to kind of read, but it's also very good to, talk about it, understand where you guys are, because that person may be the same way or they may not. But you also have to let them know, for my sanity, for my self-care, I need this alone time.
Yeah. And Ashley, let me ask you this because, all right, Ashley, you have smaller kids, and outside of relationships, you need boundaries with family too.
Mm.
All right. So Ashley, let's say you're chilling in the tub, you got your bubble bath, you got your sensible sister candles lit, the what was it, apple and bourbon? I think that's the one I like.
Apples and
Uh
maple bourbon.
yeah, apples and maple bourbon. You got that lit, you're chilling in the tub with the bubbles, and all of a sudden, mama, mama, knocking on the door. Mama, you in
I
there?
guess they would knock.
Mama. Or maybe you're in the tub and then you hear them fighting in the next room and you're like, hey, hey, you, you can't even enjoy yourself. So how do you set boundaries as a parent with your kids or with your family or with your parents sometimes, to keep them from overstepping?
I don't know how to make that possible just yet, but I'm still trying because they're like, she's always invading our personal space, But I try not to. If they like now, they're in their room probably playing the game or on their laptops or on their iPads, and I'm in here 9 times out of 10. I'd probably be up front watching TV, checking out a couple YouTube videos. That's me leaving them alone. But as far as me and I go, don't let me get on the phone. Don't let me get busy. Mom. Now, y'all were not studying me 30 minutes ago. So it's like with them, I have to wait. Sometimes I just wait until I put them to bed to just have my me time because that's the
Mhm.
only way I'm going to get it,
Mhm.
especially when they're here. But their dad gets them every other week too. So during that time, that's me, or either me and Kelvin are going to spend time together. And like, even with him, I have to kick him out the house sometimes because I'm like, look, I don't always want to be the one to leave the house to get some alone time. Like once he's out work, his car is parked. It don't move until Monday when it's time to go back to work. And I said, you don't want to go hang out with your friends? Like you don't want to go do this and do that? But now it's established every Sunday he goes and he watches football with his dad. So I have hours to myself to do whatever I please in his quiet home, and I can just regroup for the next week.
Yeah, that's
See,
important.
I like that compromise. Like, he gets it now. I like that.
Yeah. But I think people have to realize that you need boundaries with every group of people you may deal with in life, be it at home, or at work, or on a relationship or whatever. You have to establish what you will and will not tolerate. And last question, and we get ready to wrap things up. I do want to go back to relationships just a little bit. I just thought I'd have fun with Ashley, but there will come a time in a lot of relationships where people disagree. That's just a natural thing. And as a person learns more about you, they also learn how to hurt you. All right, they know what Tashura will always say, what your emotional triggers are, and how to get under your skin. Now we all have a line that if people cross, there's no coming back. Um, Kaylee, I'll start with you first. What is your emotional trigger in which there is no return? I mean, what can someone say or do to you that will make you bail, no questions asked?
Mm, being that I am a giving person, I'm very, very helpful and I'm supportive of everybody and whatever that they have going on. I will stop whatever I'm doing. If you're having a bad day, I'll stop what I'm doing just to, make sure that you're okay. And if you ever say that I'm disloyal or I'm not there for you, like just making me out the bad guy just to cover up what you have done, that's a no-go. It's a, and then to use I've had somebody to use something against me that they know that I'm very, very sensitive about when they're mad, that when you know how it happened and why it happened, and it may have been a mistake or something, and then you use it against me, oh, you're just trying to hurt me at this point, so you got to go.
Right.
And Ashley, you have a certain trigger?
Ooh, I have a lot of them.
Uh-oh.
Like
Uh-oh.
a few of them is like the same with her. Never call me disloyal, because if anything, I'm gonna have your back until I know, okay, it's time to step back and just let you do whatever you need to do. And I don't like when people try to make me out to be the bad guy, but I get it. I have tough skin. I can be that. I don't have to have a lot of people around me that just like me. I don't care. Like, you can go love somebody else, But I think the one thing that triggers me the most is when, how do I say it? Okay, is when I'm talking to somebody and they have an issue with me because they're not getting out of me what they want.
Mhm.
And I tell them, look, I did this, I did this. And I try not to keep count of all of this, but you're not going to throw all of this in my face because you feel away because I said no. I said, once I say no, that's just what it is. Don't try to throw something in my face. Don't try to act like this and act like that. And then you run and go tell my business thinking that you're beating me to the punch to tell your business. I was never going to tell your business. Like, what you told me stayed with me. And 9 times out of 10, I probably forgot half of it. I can't stand it. Like, I have fallen out with so many people behind it, and their reasons when they want to come and say sorry was, I thought you thought wrong. You should have waited out,
You
see
should have
what I'm really about.
known me better. You should have
Right.
known me better.
And
Yeah, my
you
no
know,
game is strong. No is bae.
you know what, Ashley? I think you need an agent. I'm gonna get you on a reality show. You got such an interesting life. You have such an interesting life. I don't know if we're gonna have the Real Housewives of Candle Sellers or what we're gonna do, but we're gonna have to come up with something. So
You'll
I'll
be
be in touch with
amazed
that.
what goes on around me.
Right. And so, Erica, I'll let you have the last word on this. How do you how do you communicate to someone, because no one, I don't want to be on the first date and have someone go like, look, you better not do this, you better, I mean, I don't want that. I feel like it has to happen organically, but how do you let someone that you're, in a budding relationship know, hey, don't ever cross this point? And we're not talking about like the obvious stuff like cheating or hitting you or something like that, but saying the emotional and verbal things that can set you off to a point of no return.
That comes over time, and it comes in steps, and it comes with the more you get to know that person, and the more you are establishing a connection, you'll be able to know when to share certain information as it comes, as situations come up. But going into the first date and saying, look, I don't tolerate this, I don't tolerate that, don't do this and don't do that, you won't get a second date. It has to come in layers and steps, and as time progressing and as the connection grows. But to your prior question, my trigger is disrespectful name calling, like below the belt, gutter, dirty name calling, like you called me a no good bee and you slut and all this type of stuff. That
Mm-hmm.
means all bets are off now, because now you are looking at me as the enemy. And so I can't cross back over the line after that. And public humiliation. You want to become a ghost in my life? try to humiliate me or embarrass me in public
Mm.
to hurt me, and I will forget I ever knew you.
That
That's
apology, when you bring that apology back, it need to be just as loud as that disrespect was.
yes. That's what I never understand. That's one of my big pet peeves is when people do something to degrade you publicly and then they want to come apologize behind closed doors and make it all better. And now the world looking at you like, girl, he called you this and that and the other, and you back with him. No, I'm not. And I really don't care if he apologized in public. You meant what you said the first time, buddy, and I'm sticking with that. That's why I hate when I see people make these racial statements out and then they come back behind and then they apologize because they publicist told them to. Keep that apology, bro. Keep that same energy you had when you said what you said, because you meant what you said when you said it the first time.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Good stuff.
call me out my name. I'm gonna beat you up
Right.
Mm. Mm.
because you wouldn't
The
call
talk,
your mama that.
Okay.
Right.
the, the Talk to Q radio show does not condone violence. So, but no, I understand you. I understand what you're saying, and yeah, public humiliation is definitely something that can occur. It cannot occur. I don't think I could come back from that. If someone wanted to clown me in a restaurant or something like that, like I have a friend of mine, and he had that Hollywood style drink thrown in his face,
Wow.
and yeah, all over some he said she said stuff that later was exposed that didn't really happen, and he forgave her, but that couldn't have been me.
Mm-mm.
That couldn't have been me, because no, once and man, drinks are high too. We don't spill
It's wasting
alcohol.
my money.
Right. You should have
Mhm.
said that's alcohol abuse once you spill it like that.
Right, right. All right. So next week we're discussing, when do women mature? Now, we had an episode a while back on when men mature, and now it's time to talk about the ladies. At what point in life, does your decision making process change, and for the better? When does life become more about what's important and prioritizing important things instead of just living your best life without a care in the world? So that's going to be next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time here on the Talk to Q Radio show. No experts, just opinions. Let's go ahead and get to our final thoughts and shut this thing down, ladies. And I appreciate the time you've spent cracking up with me. And Kaylee, I will start with you. Please give your final thoughts on the evening.
Well, I just say, don't be afraid to voice your opinions, concerns, and your likes and dislikes. Use your voice. Make it known what is acceptable and what is not, because if you don't say, people will walk all over you, people will disrespect you, and you'll just end up feeling like crap. So just use your voice. Use your voice.
Okay. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, you can definitely find me on YouTube at Kaylee the Boss. Tune into my Boss Chick Corner sessions, where we talk about everything boss. We go kiki on a little BS. Life happens, but it's just a platform for accountability. It's a space for accountability, therapeutic, to vent and motivate each other. Just create a union, because we got to win together and boss up together.
All right. All right. Sounds good. I appreciate you coming on. And Ashley, the sensible sister, give your final thoughts, please.
Well, I want to second what Keela said about using your voice. Don't be afraid to tell anybody your concerns and what makes you uncomfortable. And when you do it, stand on it. It doesn't matter if they get upset. Once you stand on it, I mean, you set that boundary. From then on out, they know how far to take it with you. Because I used to have the issue of not standing on it. Now I stand on it firm.
All right.
But,
Let everybody know where they can find you.
well, you can find me on Facebook at Ashley L. Dumas or Sensible Sister LLC. Also on IG, Sensible Sister LLC. And I also have my other Instagram, which is Audaciously Me. And I will be back to podcasting sometime next year. I haven't set a date, but I am coming back. I wasn't completely done, but I'm coming back. So just stay tuned for the date.
All right. Sounds good. So good to have you back on the T2Q show. And good to see you. And Erica, shut it down for me.
Thank you for having me back on Q. This was a good show, and I was happy to be here with Ashley and Kaylee. The ladies, they always bring in the heat. Yes, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. That's one of my biggest things because I've gone through life and had so many relationships where I did not have boundaries, didn't know what a boundary was, and I suffered the consequences every time. And so I think it's important that we have boundaries in every relationship that we interact in because it gives us a safe space to be who we are, allow the other person to be who they are, and then respect each other, commonalities and differences, and the relationship will last and grow in that way. Um, Anytime you're in a relationship where you have to sacrifice your dignity, you have to sacrifice your voice, you have to sacrifice your needs and wants to be in that relationship, then there's some weak boundaries there. And they need to be, and it's never too late. This is a big thing for people. Even though you've been in a relationship with somebody, you've known them forever, it is never too late to establish healthy boundaries, even if that person has been used to you being a doormat for all of the years that they've known you. Once you take it up in yourself that I no longer want to operate in this way, that this is going to be my new me, my new normal, the people who are going to accept it, those are people who love you regardless. The people who are not going to accept it and going to push back on it, then they're making room for new people to come into your life to treat you the way that you see yourself today. And that's what boundaries do. They teach people how to treat you, they teach you how to respect other people, and it keeps your relationships happy and healthy. And you don't have to walk through life being resentful, of people because you need to give yourself what you need. Other people are there just to enhance what you've already given yourself. And so that's why boundaries are so, so important.
All right. That girl's smart. And let everybody know where they can find you.
Y'all can find me on Instagram at dope discussions underscore pod. You can also follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that's just Dope Discussions with Erica. Type that in and go ahead subscribe. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about you caught your partner cheating. Now what?
Mm. In the words of my Jamaican ancestors that I do not have, a lot of mercy.
A lot of
All
mercy.
right. Well, look, ladies, I appreciate you all hanging out with me, and please stay backstage as I shut down the show. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Talk to Q Radio Show. You can find me on pretty much all things media by searching hashtag T2Q or searching for at Talk to Q. I'm actually on TikTok now, which I'm on Talk to Q now. So you can go check out some show clips and other things there. But you all have been checking out the Talk to Q radio show. No experts, just opinions. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.